When you drive for the right ride-sharing app, every trip can feel like a walk in the park. With Lyft, you can pick your own hours and drive when you want. Lyft can make driving the best gig in the world. Lyft know that their drivers are what keep them moving. So they do everything they can to make sure Lyft drivers are happy on every single trip. It's a simple formula. Happy drivers mean happy passengers. Maybe that's why 9 out of 10 Lyft rides get a perfect 5-star rating. When you become a Lyft driver, you can earn hundreds of dollars a week, plus tips. You want to earn more money? Drive more. It's never been easier to give yourself a raise. Lyft was the first rideshare program with tipping built right into the app, because getting tipped shouldn't depend on your passenger having a crumpled bill in their pocket. You keep 100% of the tips, too. Trust me, they add up fast. Drivers have been paid over $200 million since the feature was introduced into the Lyft app. And with Express Pay, you get paid almost instantly instead of waiting for weeks. Lyft has taken the guesswork out of pickups. The new AMP device uses color coding to help passengers find their drivers. So join the ride-sharing company that believes in treating people better. Go to lyft.com/Jacoby. Lyft.com, Lyft.com/Jacoby, Jacoby. Go there today and you can get $500 new driver bonus. Go to Lyft.com/Jacoby. That's Lyft.com/Jacoby. There's a limited time only. Some terms may apply.
And now, Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the deck. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood. Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Give me your boom.
He is Jalen Anthony Rose.
What up, though?
I'm David Dallin Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in.
Together, we are Jalen and Jacoby on ESPN2 and ESPN Radio. What do we do?
We give the people what they want.
I don't know if everybody wanted this, but I definitely wanted this to happen.
What's that?
Jim Harbaugh, the Kanye West of college football, he was making a move to put my man Barry and his wife Michelle Obama as honorary captains for a Michigan football game.
This excites me. Why you tee this up? Can I get my bat?
He said, quote, "They worked very hard to come. They're not going to be able to do it." I added the it. "Unfortunately, they're not going to be able to make it this year." He did not say they're not going to be able to do it, but he should have. This makes me sad. I wanted to see it happen. Why do you think he could not get this done?
Because he was on the other line with the Fab Five, and we going to be the honorary captain.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
What up, though?
Give us the details. What's happening this weekend in Ann Arbor?
So long story short, the Fab Five, minus Chris Webber, hosted a camp in Ann Arbor. Jawan and Jimmy King went to campus. Mm-hmm. They got a chance to talk to Coach Harbaugh. Mm-hmm. They reached out to me and Ray Jackson and see if we were interested, because I'm fortunate enough to be inducted in the Hall of Fame because of your strongly worded email on Friday, that since I'm going to be in town, would I join them in what we consider being the team captains for the University of Michigan this Saturday as we crush Air Force.
I'm glad you're honorary captains during an Air Force game. You know what I mean? Like, you think you want to be there for the big games, but you want to be there to celebrate afterwards.
I just want to be there, period.
I'm
John
excited for
Beeline
that.
reached out to me as well. It's going to be a great weekend in A Square.
I'm not going to act like I'm going to watch the game, because I'm not. But I'll watch the clip online of you guys standing there waving. That's how it works, right?
Pretty much.
Okay. Moving on. More off-season pickup basketball footage has leaked. I don't know why I care about this so much, but I do. I don't know why I care about this, but I do.
Because you play a lot of pickup.
It's two things I love. I love NBA basketball. I love pickup basketball. And you get to blend the two together. It makes me so happy. Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, and Chris Paul were all playing, along with some other NBA players, less notable. Do you think they did this intentionally to send the Knicks and the Rockets a message? Because that's exactly how I think, because I overthink everything.
Usually, athletes that are socially savvy, like the guys that you mentioned, future Hall of Famers and seasoned vets, everything is calculated, including not only who's they're playing, but who's they're filming and who's
what
posting.
Team, who's on whose team. Yep. Because it's not like they have some private. They could play private if they wanted to. Like, these clips only make it online because they want them to.
You mind if I post this one? No, I missed that layup. I don't like
exactly.
that way my handle
They
looking
could
at
easily find a gym where they know somebody that would lock the doors and no one else would be there except for them. But they go to the same gym that everybody else does because there's people waiting around, and they post all the clips online. Somewhere Daryl Morey watched it, and he was like, I don't know if this is going to work.
And somewhere Scott Perry watched it and like, we're not taking Ryan Anderson contract.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, wait, 80 million 3 years for who? 60 million 3 years? Ryan Anderson? Please. Kobe Bryant is getting
Black Mamba.
Both of his jerseys retired on December 18th when they host the Golden State Warriors. I have a lot of follow-up questions, but number one is, how do you logistically retire both jerseys?
Easy. You just put them on the same banner.
But then you got 824. You got two separate jerseys, one banner?
Correct.
So only one goes up in the one banner goes in the rafters. It's got two different jerseys.
It'll be one banner with two jerseys. And his situation is so unique because when you play for 20 straight years and have an illustrious career like his, you have different phases where as number 8, he was a young player finding himself.
Afro Kobe.
Rocking the
Kobe.
fro.
Yep.
And while he was an all-NBA performer, which was unique, he played with an MVP in Shaq.
Mm-hmm.
Once he leaves, then all of a sudden, you reemerge.
One clip, Kobe.
And he rocking number 24, winning 2 more championships. So the one thing that was a constant, each of those championships, Phil Jackson was on the sideline.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's the thing. No one wants to be number 8. And if I'm Magic Johnson, I'm like, why his banner bigger than mine? You can put 2 jerseys on it, but it cannot be bigger than my banner. It cannot be.
The Lakers and the Celtics are as unique as they come in professional sports because they have so many notable players hanging from the rafters and with statues and things of that nature. He can't get 2 banners.
There's not that much real estate up there. For the Lakers and Celtics, don't have too much real estate in the rafters anymore. The Clippers aren't taking up any, I'll tell you that much. Moving on, LeBron James and Dwayne Wade were working out together.
Dwayne Wade not on the Cavs
that's
yet?
The thing. And LeBron's just like, it just feels different with my brother Dwayne Wade there. Like, what can we do? Like, can we just do this? Like, Bulls, just pay the man. I'll tell you where it's going to end up. What's he owed? $21 million. Bulls, you're going to have to write a $16 million check. That's how it's going to work.
We're not going to be able to do it.
You don't think he'll get 16 to go away?
Why would the Chicago Bulls?
Oh, I'll tell you why. Because Dwayne Wade already is not talking to them, and he will just poison the young roster. He'll be active.
There's some people that felt
poisoning
like
the young roster.
That was the initial thrust last year with him and Jimmy Butler when Rajon Rondo ended up doing a post. Basically, that was chastising both of them as players
Dwayne
and
Wade
leaders.
is going to say this with his face. Oh, you thought I was poisoning the roster last year. Wait till you see me this year. I'm going to show up 40 pounds overweight.
What do we celebrate on this show?
Pretty much everything.
Power couples.
Oh, yeah, we celebrate power couples.
Okay. LeBron and Savannah are a power couple.
Mm-hmm.
Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union are a power couple. And you mean to tell me he's going to walk to his wife and say, they owed me 21. I opted in for that reason. That's the only reason why he signed the contract,
They're
right?
not making him run at a championship.
And so now you think he's just going to go away for 8?
No, I said 16.
They're not going to. The Bulls won't do that. Why am I giving you $16 million to go play in the Eastern Conference and win a
day you sit in the
championship?
studio and go, oh, he's not on the Cavs yet, he's not on the Cavs yet, then what's it going to take? What is going to happen then? Just a matter of money? Just a matter of money?
Half.
So this sounds like it's going to take a while. It might be Christmas. He might celebrate Christmas in Chicago.
No, this is what you do too. Since you're not getting the number that you want, you get a couple of the checks first.
Oh, the game checks?
No doubt about it.
So then what they owe you goes down a little bit?
No doubt. And then November, December, around the holiday, then you start to get serious about the buyout.
This sounds like someone who's been bought out before.
Ding, 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 ding. And you know when it happened? In December.
Yeah. So we look forward to this Christmas when the big
Caught
game
that, didn't you?
in the Cleveland Cavaliers will not just be on national TV at Christmas with the new uniforms. They'll be on national TV at Christmas with the new roster. Jalen Rose, we had 2 Monday night games yesterday in the National Football League. Both interesting. Both pretty competitive. 4 compelling teams. The first game was a pretty good performance by the Vikings. I do have to say. I found the Vikings to be good on both offense and defense. And a lot of people will say, oh, well, whenever you play the Saints D, you're going to throw for 300 yards and get 4 touchdowns. But it wasn't not what you do, it's how you do it. Sam Bradford I found to be very impressive, throwing 2 touchdown passes to Stephon Diggs, 346 passing yards, 3 passing TDs, no interceptions. What do you think about the Vikings' offensive performance?
You just made a major commentary that a lot of people are going to overlook.
What was that, Mr. Rose?
Last season, Sam Bradford set the NFL record, 71.6 completion percentage. When he stands up right and they protect him, which they have 5 new people in spots playing on the offensive line right now, all of a sudden, he's as accurate as they get.
He's looking good. And you go back to last season, at the end of last season, he was good too.
And talk about what have you done for me lately. It's like they don't even mention Teddy Bridgewater's name anymore.
I know. I thought he would be starting week 1. Like 3 during the offseason, if you're like, who's going to start for the Vikings, I'd be like, Bridgewater will be back.
Stephon Diggs, couple of TD grabs. The rookie Cook out of the backfield. No true surprise that he was able to set a rookie record for opening night.
And for some reason, I can't exactly put my finger on it. I really enjoy Adam Thielen. I don't know what it is about him.
Thielen it.
Oh, there you go for Jay-Z Day.
157 rush yards. He was stealing it.
Yeah, receiving yards. He was excellent, and the Vikings defense was good too. You know,
rookie quarterbacks and rookie running backs, either feast or famine. The backs so far getting it done. Kareem Hunt this weekend. Leonard Fournette as well.
There are some fantasy implications for this game. You know, those Monday night games are always good for fantasy. Because it's always good to have a player going on Monday because you're just like, now I have hope. And it was nice to have Stephon Diggs. Look down at my phone like, oh, whoa.
It was nice for me to have the Vikings D. They got 4 points. I needed every one of them.
Every one of them, literally. We will do a full update on Jalen Rose's 10K Fantasy League later on in the show. The second game of the night, the Broncos were up big after 3 quarters. Like, it looked like this was over, and if you were on the East Coast, you were already asleep. If you're on the East Coast, you woke up and you were like, wait. They had a chance to tie the game at the end? You were absolutely asleep. You didn't see this, but there was a weird pick six. There was a screen pass that bounced off some feet and some helmets and ended up in the lap of the Chargers, and they ran it back, and there was a fumble. Some bad turnovers that made this a good game.
Trevor Siemian, got to give him a lot of credit. Played pretty well.
Shout out.
219 yards passing. Threw 2 TDs. Had a pick. Only got sacked once.
He looked all okay. They weren't asking him to do too much, but he was okay. He was standing in the pocket. You know,
well, he got sacked 4 times.
Giving the ball to people. Bosa looked pretty good. Bosa had 1.5 sacks. He's had 12 sacks in 13 games. He looked good. He gets a little confused sometimes. Though. He jumped off sides on a big play that led to a touchdown. He also, sometimes when they have him in coverage, he gets spun around a little bit, but he looked good. I like Bosa. The Chargers have lost 4 straight in 5 of their last 6 road games at the Broncos.
Broncos have a really good defense, but I give props to Phillip Rivers. I was rooting for him for the same fantasy implications you talked about. And he put up a big game. He drove them down on the final drive. Unfortunately, their field goal attempt got blocked.
Yeah, I think they iced the kicker. I didn't watch the end of the game, but I think they iced the kicker, and then the field goal got blocked. If you're a head coach, are you icing the kicker for a game-time field goal at the end? And your timeouts don't matter. There's like 2 seconds left.
It depends on the kicker.
Oh, okay.
You got to switch it up. It's almost like an onside.
It's like rock, scissors, paper. You got to keep everybody guessing.
Yes.
What's your go-to rock, scissors, paper move?
You know what it is. Rock.
Everybody goes rock. I feel like dudes don't go paper that much. It just doesn't feel strong. And I use that against them. I'm going paper. And scissors sometimes is just too hard to do with your fingers. I don't want to put that much effort into it.
And you can see that coming.
Yeah. The thing is that this Young Hoku, I believe is the South Korean kicker, I believe. I might be wrong about that, for the Los Angeles Chargers. I was really rooting for him, man. I wanted that to go through. I really wanted that to happen.
It was his first career field goal attempt.
I really wanted that to go through for him. And kickers are kind of like hockey goalies. Like, it just gets in your head. David Johnson is injured. Raekwon the Schefter is saying that he's out for 2 to 3 months. Not 2 to 3 weeks. Months. First of all, I want to apologize and send my condolences to everyone that drafted David Johnson number 2 in fantasy. Because
just a fantasy. It's one of those things where people that really don't follow the Arizona Cardinals, some that may not follow the National Football League, truly are upset about the fact that he got injured.
Mm-hmm. And there are reports that they're bringing in Chris Johnson. They're bringing in Chris Johnson.
They had him last year for a period of time.
Oh, I forgot about that. Here's the thing. Chris Johnson, great running back because he's fast. Over time, you get slower. And that's one of the concerns.
That's great wisdom by you, Jacoby. Wow, over time you get slower? Oh, man.
Is that what you're going to do now? So every time you repeat the same thing that you say every day, you want me to point that out too? Because we can start this. We can start this, Jalen Rose. I don't know if you want to start this, okay? I don't know if you want to start this, because I basically know exactly what you're going to say every single time, okay? Jimmy Johnson needs to be in the Cowboys Ring of Honor.
All I know is when I say stuff, other shows start using it as topics.
Good for you, Jalen Rose.
And he still should be in the Ring of Honor. Why is Jimmy Johnson not in the Ring of Honor?
Are you serious about this?
I've been saying it for 6 years.
I know you've been saying it for 6 years. You say it once a week for 6 years.
Man, Jerry, let it go. He already got Ezekiel up there, but he don't want to put Jimmy up there.
Can we talk about the most important thing to come out of the news today in the National Football League?
Sure.
Jacoby Brissett, baby. Jacoby Brissett, Jalen Rose. Jacoby Brissett will be starting for the Colts.
You were not too enthusiastic watching the Colts. I follow you on Twitter, clearly, and I saw your post. Mm-hmm. You were upset about their quarterback play and felt like it should have happened immediately.
Immediately? Yep. I mean, come on now. Tozine.
Seriously, like, football is a physical game, and I think I'm going to find myself saying this all year. The Colts going to get somebody seriously injured on their squad.
Not Jacoby. Jacoby's don't break.
That squad that they're trotting out there?
Jacoby's don't break. Jacoby's don't break. How many times have you seen me injured?
None.
Exactly. How many times have you seen Jacoby Jones injured?
I've seen him injured.
How many times have you seen Jacoby Ellsbury injured?
Seen him injured a lot.
Yeah, he gets injured a lot, to be honest with you. How many times have you seen Brooke Jacoby injured?
I don't know who that is.
How many times have you seen David Jacoby, the Shakespearean actor, injured?
That don't count.
He spells his name differently.
Daddy, where do babies come from?
Honey?
Mommy went to the store.
Oh, well, you see, there's a mommy and a daddy, right?
Right.
And see, when they call Geico, they could save a bunch of money on car insurance.
Oh, really? And that makes them happy?
Yes, that makes them very happy.
That's good.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad we could have this talk, Sunshine.
Geico, because saving 15% or more on car insurance is always a great answer.
If you call 9580 Jalen, you can leave us a voicemail, and we'll play them on the show just like this.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. Got a question for Jalen. Given the current state of Detroit's Big Four teams, which professional Detroit sport is the hardest to root for right now? I appreciate the show. Shout out to Reddy.
Which Detroit professional team is the hardest to root for right now?
Shout out.
Pistons.
That's a unique question because I'm one of the people that truly roots for his hometown teams through in and throughout. I'm not the guy that grew up in Detroit, but I love the Yankees. I also love the Lakers. I'm not that guy.
Die easy fan. I support it.
Right now, the toughest team to root for is the Tigers. Here's why. When I had a remote control in my hand and I flipped through, I see all of our former players elsewhere shining.
They all doing great.
Do I need to start naming some?
Yeah,
no question.
It's great.
Scherzer.
Y'all like a really good minor league team. You know, you go to Tigers for a few years, develop the skills, learn how to be a pro. You get traded away for some prospects, and then you can prosper.
I'm going to have to get the list. Over the last couple of years, Cespedes.
Yeah, we're not done with it there. Thank you so much for the call. Let's listen to the next voicemail.
What's good, Jalen and Jacoby? It's your boy, Uncle Mark from Twitter. Shout out to your homie, Big Crown on Twitter. Shout out to your man, Reggie in the back on the ones and twos. My question is actually for Jalen. Jalen, now after week 1 has happened with your Lions and they got that big win and that great performance from Matthew Stafford, I'm not sure how your fantasy team is looking, but will you try to put him on your fantasy team now after that great week 1 performance that the Lions had? So I hope you guys answer my question. As always, keep getting those checks.
Uncle Mar with the roar. Uncle Roar.
One of my favorite callers. Here's why.
Shout out.
He gave shout outs to other people that support the show.
He gave shout out to Big Crown. Here's the thing is, people act like Reggie's the only person that works on the show. Like, it's me, you, and Reggie, that's it. There's a staff of like a dozen other people that don't get shout outs.
Barron is my favorite.
Shout out.
See, now you just disrespected 11 people. You know what I mean? Now you got 11 people. You see what you look like next time we're on TV. See what you look like after Carlos turns up the reds on you. You'll see. They're not going to edit out your mistakes.
That's cute, man.
Carlos is the only person in the world I have a signature handshake with.
I'm sure that's not true.
That is true. I'm 44, man. You think I'm walking around giving signature handshakes all day?
It just takes too long. You know, it takes too long. Well, what was Uncle Mar's question?
His question was, I stand by my comment. I know people think I'm just being a homer when I say the Lions are going to win the division.
They probably think that because you're just being a homer when you say the Lions.
But these are words that have never been spoken from my direction. I've never said this. Ever.
It doesn't make it true.
It makes it true this time.
Okay. Good for you. I'm rooting for the Lions. I mean, like, there is evil in my heart, and I do want you to be wrong, kind of, but there's not so much evil in my heart that I root against the Lions. I want them to win every week. I want them to go 16-0. I just know that they're not.
Talk about a house divided. Guess who plays the Lions on Monday Night Football?
I know now. The New York Football Giants. Here's the thing. Both of y'all be asleep by the second quarter. So it doesn't matter. Let's not act like it's a big deal. Both of y'all are going to be asleep by the second quarter.
I
You
won't
can wake
fall
up in the
asleep on
morning.
that one.
Oh, you're definitely falling asleep on that one.
Take a nap that day.
Yeah, right. Here's the thing about fantasy quarterbacks is you can just pick one up, drop one, pick one up, drop one, because there's always going to be about 8 starting quarterbacks available in your leagues. So you can always pick one up and drop one. Pick them up.
My strategy was to only draft one. I think it's a poor strategy to draft more than one. Especially if your commissioner has a league where you need to start 2 each week.
But what happens is, like, I'm looking at it, and it's like I can have Andy Dalton on my team, or I can have, like, a wide receiver I've never heard of that's ranked high in this, like, app. You know what I mean?
Hit the brakes. Andy Dalton, that was a terrible example. He had less than a 10 QBR on Sunday.
I understand that, Mr. Rose.
One of the 4 worst ever.
I understand that, Mr. Rose.
So
I can't see the future. It's easy to say that now, but I can't see the future. I'm like, oh, do I want Andy Dalton or do I want this dude I've never heard of? And he's like the 4th receiver for, the Browns.
I'm going to bring in a list of all of the quarterbacks. I'm going to have a running list this year after watching the Colts play. I've decided something. Of all of the quarterbacks, based on his numbers last year only, that I think Colin Kaepernick are better than. I'm going to compare his stats
After
last year.
watching week 1, Colin Kaepernick had all the TVs going. He was just sitting back, just watching interceptions, flicking between channels, watching bad throws, watching dudes take sacks, looking at Jacoby Brissett coming in after. You know what? I think Colin Kaepernick went to as many Colts practices as Jacoby Brissett did. I really think he did. I think they both were equally up to date on what the Colts' offensive strategy was, and Jacoby Brissett was in by the second half. Thank you so much for the call. Let's listen to another voicemail.
Hey, Jalen and Jacoby. This is Chad from Kokomo, Indiana. Big fan. I got a little bit of a gripe. I'm a huge Detroit Lions fan, like my man Jalen there. And yesterday I watched all this sports TV when I wasn't at work, and there's no Lions love. We have a big win. To start the season off, knocking off the Arizona Cardinals. Come back in the 4th quarter. Matty Stafford looking like, the best quarterback in the league. And, no love, no respect. What's up with that, Jalen? Big fan, guys. Keep giving the people what they want.
So let me answer this up. Let me take this right between the eyeballs.
Okay, do it for Chad.
Okay.
I think he's in Kokomo, Indiana.
Put a red dot on my head before I do this.
Kokomo.
when you've only won one playoff game in the last 50 years, you don't get respect.
Bermuda, Bahama.
However, if you follow the landscape of the NFL,
Come on, Brady.
there's some signature franchises that you'll never see playing against each other on Thursday night. Let me see. Who's playing this Thursday night?
Key
Oh, that's
Largo.
right. The two teams that had the worst
Montego.
losses in week one, Cincinnati and Houston. That's another subject for another day. But if you notice, of the signature teams, they never go head-to-head on Thursday because they get the worst game.
Yep.
New England, the Giants,
Cowboys.
Pittsburgh, Cowboys, and Packers.
Yep. Those are your big teams, big draws.
And so those are the only 5 teams that the national media talk about.
And they'll be on Thursday night, but they won't be playing each other.
And I want everybody to keep score of what I'm saying. Those are the only 5 teams that national media is going to talk about, and usually talk about 10 total players. Odell from the Giants, Tom Brady and Gronk, Antonio Brown, Big Ben, Cowboys, period, and Aaron Rodgers.
Throw Marshawn in there.
When he's in the league.
Sure, when he's in the league.
He's done a really good job of parlaying his personality without selling his soul. I appreciate that. He made the dynamics of the world change around his name, not the other way
we
around.
Sold out. We did the opposite.
Correct.
Our off-fight conversations are very different than these.
I'm pretty sure his are too.
Let's listen to one more voicemail.
What up, Jalen and Jacoby? It's Marvin from Perth. Shout out Reggie. Shout out Daniel. I had a question. Why is a bidet a soft move? If you had feces on your hand, you would wash your hand. So why is it a soft move when you have a bidet there to do that for your bottom? I'm from Asia. In Asia, we have a hose next to the toilet, so, you can give it a good wash. Let me know.
Whoa. First of all, who knew Marvin was from Asia? I mean, who knew Marvin from Perth was from Asia? I need to call Marvin's hotline and ask him some questions. Secondly, I did vacation in Thailand on my honeymoon. I enjoyed that hose.
Shout out.
And ever since my wife put in the tushy, you know what? Can't complain. No complaints. And I love the way that Marvin put it. Marvin was like, if you had feces on your hand, what would you do? You wouldn't leave it there. You wouldn't take a paper towel and try to wipe it off. You would clean that. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby, where one of us is clean and one of us is not. Thank you, Tushy.
A bidet's a soft move because of the physical action you would have to endure in order to properly
You obviously
use
have
it.
never had a Tushy.
Can I shout one of our favorite supporters of the program?
Of course.
Shout out.
At Courtney_Jane, Jane. We appreciate the love. We saw the champagning and campaigning shirt with the glass of champagne.
And the whole outfit, though. She had the skirt on and like the heels and the champagne. It was working.
The first thing that people said that work on this fine program was like, we got to fly her out here and get her on the show.
Yeah. The first thing I said was we're gonna put that picture on television, and here you are talking about it on our radio segment.
We're going to do both.
Do you know what we're gonna do now? Keep it moving. Not everything is worth talking about, so we will distinguish the difference with what is worth discussing. We'll hit the break. And what is kind of disgusting, we'll keep it moving. Hugh Jackson calls Kenny Britt drops inexcusable.
Keep it moving. He plays for the Browns.
Randy Moss is inducted into the Vikings Ring of Honor.
No surprises. Big shout, Randy. Keep it moving.
The Colts are looking like they're going to start Jacoby Brissett.
Hit the brakes.
You notice how I've tried to work this piece of news into every single segment? Every single one.
This is where Jacoby can dispel the notion that when Patriot players either get traded or paid to leave that squad, that their performance doesn't fall off.
His performance will probably fall off, let's be honest. It's hard. He's only been on the team for like 10 days. It's ridiculous. I thought the Jets were going to be the worst team in the league. I think the Colts might be the worst team in the league.
I say this respectfully. The Colts going to get somebody injured.
I'm concerned
really
about Jacoby.
I'm concerned about a few of their players' health. The team that they were playing against looked like it was the Rams. They looked like they were 2 sizes bigger than them.
There's a former Raider.
Without Donaldson,
who's already in Las Vegas, who's already successful.
Marcus Allen?
He's in the medicinal business. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
Well, Frank Hawkins owns a dispensary right near the Las Vegas Strip.
Good for him. Profitable business,
He said he started out losing $50,000 a month. He suffered for a long time, but he's turning it around.
But that's when you getting the place in order, you getting all the materials for the first time.
They legalized recreational marijuana. Because when you're losing $50,000 a month, it's because you have to go to the doctor and pretend that you can't sleep or you have cataracts or whatever. And now it's just recreational there. Tourists over the age of 21 can just go get that. Shout out to Frank Hawkins.
Ezekiel.
Shout out.
The Warriors just sold a patch on their jersey. Keep moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes.
$20 million a year, 3-year deal, $60 million for Rakuten. Do you know what Rakuten is?
I will, after they spent this $60 million.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I've never heard of this company before, but in 3 months, I'll know exactly what they do. It's a Japanese company.
I remember us having this same conversation, however, about the Philadelphia 76ers, I think, and you told me that per year, their jersey placement was $20,000.
That's the thing. So now let's talk about that. So if you can sell it for $20 million and you're in the, luxury tax, you can offset a lot of that by making up for it in other ways. It does create a bit of a competitive advantage for the popular teams. Yep. See what I'm saying here?
That's how it is in racing or fundraising or anything else.
Sure. Next, Jaguars lose Allen Robinson for the season.
That stinks. Keep it moving. They had a big win, 10 sacks, 4 by Calais Campbell.
Bill O'Brien's going to name his starter for the Thursday game.
Hit the brakes. So, let me clear my throat. This is the point I want to make sure that gets heard, that people aren't stressing. Bill O'Brien has done a terrific job overall with the Texans. However, as a quarterback whisperer and guru, has not done a really good job of developing somebody to play that position.
No, it's a good point. Like, you're the quarterback guy. It's like a fat trainer. It's like, look, you're going to tell me what to do, and you're the trainer, you're the exercise guy, then how come you got a pot belly and wear a size XL?
And so one of the things that was really head-scratching to me, that while a lot of people are looking at the quarterback play and the offensive line that was being mauled in game one, I'm paying more attention to the process. Why do you put Tom Savage at quarterback the last handful of months in mini camp, training camp, take all of these reps with the first team, and then after the first half, you bench him?
Do you know who Tom Savage played like on Sunday? Tom Savage. Like, what do you expect him to do? How do you expect that to go down?
If you wanted Deshaun to be the guy, you should have gave him all of the nurturing I just described and then started him first game. You don't help either guy at the start of the third quarter when you put him in the game.
Kaiser was reasonably successful playing quarterback for the Cleveland Browns. You know why? Because he was named the starter for the Cleveland Browns quite some time ago, and he's been getting those reps, and he's been treated like he's been preparing himself mentally and physically.
And so now you're on a short week. You're playing a quarterback carousel. Usually when you have two, you don't have none. What do you think the rest of the players in the locker room are looking around saying?
Like, one thing, you know what the rest of the players are looking around the locker room saying? Why has everybody got a concussion? They have 5 players in concussion protocol. 5 human beings. If you're the doctor on their sideline, someone's coming over with a concussion like every 10 minutes.
I told you, the Jaguars were out there hitting.
5. Brian Cushing, Bruce Ellington, Fedorowicz, Griffin, and Steven Anderson. 3 of their tight ends. 3 tight ends. Do you know how many tight ends they have on the roster?
All 3.
All 3 of their tight ends got concussions.
Them boys was out there hitting, trying to block.
You know who's not playing football? Quincy Jacoby. Nope. That is not happening. I got concussions playing basketball. This is ridiculous. I really think the NFL...
Come on, Bill O'Brien. He's not getting enough, so I had to get on him.
Good for you. Because if you're a defensive coach and you got a quarterback carousel, that's fine. But if you're the quarterback whisperer and you got a quarterback carousel, and you paid Brock Osweiler how much to play quarterback? Come on, Bill O'Brien. Jalen Rose, you and I have talked about this for quite some time. And this is one of those off-wax conversations that we have in meetings and bars. We're going to bring it on wax. It's about the NFL and the NBA. And whether you are a casual fan or are you a sports media like we are that live this stuff, there's a general feeling that the NBA is sort of closing the gap on the NFL. But before we break into exactly why, let's just establish where things are as they stand. Because the NFL is far and away the 600-pound gorilla in sports media. In 2015, there was a Harris poll, and they asked people, about 1,500 people, this is a big sample size, what their favorite sport was. 33% said football. Only 5% said basketball. What? And then what do we always do in this show? We follow the money, right? And when you follow the money, you look at the totality, the approximate totality of how much money is generated by each sport. The NFL generates 13 or 14 billion, and the NBA generates 5 billion. So you've got many more people saying that football is their favorite sport, about 6 times as many, and then they're generating about 3 times as many dollars as the NBA is generating. Yet there's this feeling that we both feel, and that most even just casual sports fans feel, that the NBA is closing that gap and becoming the most popular sport in America. Why do we feel that way?
I'm going to shoot down the 2 theories that you said initially for those that feel like the NFL still has a distinct edge on the NBA. The first thing you said, 1,500 people were polled. That's not a true sample size.
I understand statistics, also, and it is, but continue.
Also, you asked what is their favorite sport. Guess what? My favorite sport is football.
Exactly.
But when you ask parents, what do they want their kids to participate in?
I'm not letting my child play football.
Okay, so that shoots that one down. The other thing, 13 billion versus 5 billion generated. Your favorite NBA arena probably hosts 25,000 people. Your favorite football stadium hosts 75,000 people.
Jalen, they play a lot more games in the NBA.
Correct. I'm just saying. So here's where I really want to go, though. When you look at the dynamics of the NFL and the NBA, the NFL is a gas-guzzling truck, and the NBA is a sports car.
Okay, explain.
When you say follow the money, first we're going to go to the Forbes list. Of the top 50, there are 17 NBA players. It's only 7 NFL players. 4 NBA players in the top 10. The current Madden game, I was just watching the commercial. I love Madden. Don't you love Madden?
I used to play, but I don't play anymore.
Okay. Do you know who's on the commercial? 2 basketball players. Harden and CP3. No NFL players were available? Anyway, next point. As we talk about endorsements, 15 NBA players in the top 50. 15. 6 NFL players.
And I think that speaks to the Madden thing. It's like, if you want to sell something, you go to NBA players. That's it. It's like, if you want to sell something, they're now using NBA players to sell NFL products because of what you just said, is they have a proven track record of selling things.
Of the top endorsers in sports, there are 0 NFL players in the top 10. What? I know you see Odell and Gronk and Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers on commercials, Richard Sherman. Guess what? Those only ones.
And they play on Sundays, too.
And some of them probably are league sponsored. Lastly, when you talk about the popularity of the individual, it plays out no further than social media, where the NBA's done a really good job of driving its content.
Yep.
Even allows you to use its footage in replays. You can't even do that in the NFL.
I mean, that's a huge thing to me, is I feel that the NBA they're saying, you know what? We can't stop time. And our fan base is going to get older over time, so we need to invest in the younger fan base. They've done a much better job at promoting their sport digitally, internationally, to a young millennial audience. I think that's key.
And so engagement on social media and this era is truly what has allowed the NBA to ascend past football as it relates to popularity amongst the people, not just amongst the dollar.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go to social media. Of the top 50 athletes, 8 of them are NBA players. Guess how many are NFL players? 0.
Of the top 50 athletes on social media, there's 0 NFL players.
Correct.
I think it also gets back to the point you made about the two logos. Is the NBA actively promotes their players and they create stars. Where if you look at the headlines going into the NBA season, we're talking about Kyrie Irving, we're talking about LeBron James, we're joking about Dwayne Wade, and we're doing these things. If you look at the headlines going into the NFL season,
Ezekiel Elliott, concussions.
That's what it is. It's player safety and it's court cases and going back and forth with arbitration.
We talked about this with Richard Sherman on our show during the ESPYs. And I encouraged he and NFL players to take the power back by striking right now. Don't wait 4 or 5 years. Half of the players won't be in the game then that are in right now. If they decided on Sunday that, you know what? I don't care about your fantasy team. I love my job in football, but we're just going to take this week off so we can get everybody back to the table.
That $13 billion that the NFL generates would start draining very quickly.
And you don't have to you don't have to do it every week. Imagine if they just did it one time. The kind of message that would send. Non-guaranteed contracts in arguably the most physical sport. We don't even care if they use PEDs. Because we wouldn't play. We wouldn't run into and get hit as hard as they're getting hit.
In the last 3 years, there have been 23 $100 million guaranteed contracts signed in the NBA. 23 $100 million contracts in the last 3 years. What? Guess how many in the NFL?
1, Andrew Luck. Maybe 2, Joe Flacco.
Guaranteed. Zero. Absolutely zero. It's Matt Stafford with $92 million, and then you get Andrew Luck at $87, and then Derek Carr and Von Miller at $70.
There isn't an NFL player with $100 million guaranteed on their contract for a sport that you just said generates $15 billion.
What? And the thing about it is, while the NFL is far and away more popular and makes more money, the NBA is trending in a better direction.
I disagree. Why do you think the NFL is more popular?
Because they did a poll, and it was clearly they were 6 times more popular, Jalen Rose.
About this?
I have facts here.
Okay, here's another thing. The NBA is global.
That's
the
another
NFL
reason that
isn't.
they're growing.
So you can't tell me it's more popular around the world. It isn't.
No, this is NFL is a domestic sport.
Boom.
But if I was owning a franchise, I would much rather own an NBA franchise than an NFL franchise.
There we go.
Because I want to look at the future value of the franchise.
You just gave the distinction that this segment was all about. You're talking about a sport that's popular domestically that also has the logo of a U.S. flag versus a sport that's global and markets its players.
Of course. And you know what?
And lastly, one that has the respect of its commissioner versus the NFL, who players continue to disrespect their leader.
For good reason.
Happy 7th anniversary to you and your beautiful bride, Joey Jacoby.
Thank you so much. Thank you for you and your beautiful girl for joining us at dinner with the whole team.
That was awesome.
It was great seeing you. It was better having help with the kids. I just like to throw bodies at the kids.
You got to give us a social play, man. I think the world needs to see that we actually spend time
bodies. You got to throw some bodies
other than this program.
We do. That was
Chloe
nice.
Chloe and Margot and
I enjoyed
Q.
it. I enjoyed it very much.
So Molly Karam.
Sometimes Jalen and I prepare for the show, and there's certain things that Jalen wants to talk about that I don't want to talk about. This happens sometimes. And there's certain things I want to talk about that Jalen doesn't want to talk about. Like, whenever it has to do with a wild animal, I'm really enthusiastic about it. And Jalen just kind of lets me talk about it for 30 seconds, and then we move on. Jalen really wants to update everybody on his fantasy team. I'm of the opinion that people only care about one fantasy team, and that's their own. But this was a particularly exciting week for the JRLA Jaguars.
It really was,
and there's a lot at stake. Like, whatever you put into your fantasy team, you don't put in as much money as Jalen Rose does. You know, you're paying, this is like $500 a week for you to play fantasy. Tell me about the Jaguars. Well, first start where it all started on last Thursday night.
Okay, fantasy started on Thursday for everyone. Mm-hmm. And it just so happens when you're going against Kareem Hunt.
I was going against Kareem Hunt, too.
And he scores 43.
He scored 51 in my league. I'm sure we have probably PPR league. And I just felt like, you know what? I'm dead in the water.
So I was going against Kareem Hunt. It's not just, hold on. Let me say the truth. Molly and I.
Backing up that one. How much of the 10 grip did Molly put in?
It depends on if we win the prize or not. That's when that gets determined.
Direct relation to how much you invested versus how much you get in return.
And so we were going against Kareem Hunt and Maverick Carter. You probably heard of that guy's name before.
Mm-hmm.
Big shout out to Mav, by the way. I know he has a documentary come out. I saw a post with he, LeBron, and Rich and Drake. I think it was The Carter Effect. Big shout out. That's family. Anyway, so as you mentioned, fantasy started on Thursday. Going against Kareem Hunt, that's the worst. He had 43.1 points.
That's I was just like, what's the point?
The week's over.
I'm trying to get to 100, like 110, and like this dude already's at 51. It's not even Friday.
Right, and Stalker, our GM, is our commissioner, already sent out the email saying how great of a fine it was for Mav and how he got a sleeper.
I looked at Mav's team, the other players. How do you have Kareem Hunt and don't even break 100?
I know.
How do you have Kareem Hunt and don't even break 100?
So some of the other players on his team that let him down this week: Russell Wilson. No offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
Le'Veon Bell, who wasn't at camp, got off to a slow start. Dez Bryant.
Did he play?
He
played Sunday, right?
I gotta be I gotta be the person to put this out there. As Dak Prescott has ascended, Dez Bryant's stats has rescinded.
I love Dez. I think I just love watching him play the game of football. But you look at this, it's like, he was injured. Like, well, he's 100% healthy. I think he caught like 2 passes.
He had Michael Crabtree, Jordan Reed, who didn't have a big week.
You got all the wrong guys.
Chris Hogan for the Patriots. You think they're going to do something?
All the wrong guys.
Seattle, the Cardinals defense and Buffalo's kicker. And so I'm like, you know what? 43 points, Hunt, I'm dead. Like, whatever. So I got to just GM.
You see, if you brought this level of passion to the other topics, this show would be 20% better.
And so first off, let me just say this. My number one pick, Odell Beckham, didn't even play. So, of course, my final pick of the draft was Sterling Shepard. I got to just handcuff him just in case. He didn't have a great week. He had 8.5, but those are the kind of moves that help. Phillip Rivers. It's a deep quarterback draft. He was my second from last pick.
I always like having someone play on Monday. I always like that.
We were about to watch the game, and what did I tell you he was going to do to Denver's defense? I said he's going to get 3 touchdowns.
Wait, how many did he get?
3.
No.
He threw 3 touchdowns.
No.
He has 17.7 points. Leonard Fournette, I also had 19.9. LeGarrette Blount. So Sterling Shepard and Travis Kelce, Fitzgerald, Vikings D played last night.
Here's what really happened, though. You won the game and didn't score 100 points. That's what really happened. That's what really happened.
Yeah.
Like, you went up against Mav's trash team, and you beat him by 0.4 points.
I had 93.6, and he had 93.3.
Man. If you were awake at the end of that Chargers game, I'm sure you would have been stressed out about it.
I'm glad. That's why I went to sleep.
I'm sure if it's after 9 o'clock, you can assume Jalen Rose is asleep.
I was laying in the bed trying to do that.
I invited Jalen to a party this weekend. I was like, I'm probably going to get there at 11. You didn't even let me say the last syllable of 11. You're just like, what? AM? Is it a brunch? Like, who do you think I am?
No, wifey shut it down. I'm like, glass of red wine, going through each place. She's like, cut that TV off. You're over there dozing off.
Yeah. Congratulations to the JLA Jaguars.
Yes, indeed.
Shout out.
For some reason, we'll continue to update you on Jalen's fantasy team, even though you don't care about it.
Draymond Green team played real well this week. He won, too.
Good for him. Who scored the most in the league?
I didn't go through everybody's squad. I just went through a couple. When you win, you just check out the people who won.
He scored 93 points checking out the other winners in the league.
Yeah.
I'm sure you would have lost. I'm sure you would have lost most of the games in your league. I'm sure you probably would have only won like against 2 or 3 teams. Let's be honest.
That's why it's about matchups.
All you have to do is win every week. That's what Matt Berry taught me.
No doubt about it. And I got a good bench. You know what I mean? Next week I'm gonna have a couple of guys in there that I didn't have in there, like Terrence West.
I can't believe this is taking up a whole segment.
Man, people care about fantasy. They care more about fantasy football than real football. There are people that know who David Johnson is on fantasy that don't know who he is in real life.
What? It's the helmet. If David Johnson walked in this room, I'd be like, that's David Johnson, right? That's David Johnson, right?
That's my point exactly.
I want to talk to you about something that I care about then.
Okay.
The new iPhone. This is the iPhone 10. And the new thing that they're breaking out, they do their whole presentation, because I know you watched the Steve Jobs documentary
50 times.
Yep, I know you watched it for some reason.
I love him.
You'll never watch Game of Thrones, but you'll watch the Steve Jobs documentary.
Yeah, man. I'm fascinated by his story. How he gave zero to charity, ever.
Well, this time they roll it out, and they're like, guess what, guys? Bigger screen. No home button. It'll recognize your face.
No charger needed.
It's like, that's what you got? Like 2 years ago, it was like, you can make video phone calls. You can see the people you're calling. That's a change.
Like, your individual pictures can now be...
We got cameras on both sides of the phone. That's innovation. My phone being able to recognize my face, I don't need that in my life.
Especially for $1,000.
Yeah, I don't need to pay $1,000 so my phone can recognize me. I don't need that. Come up with something new, Apple. They need to have me in the meeting. That's what it is.
Free money.
They need to have me in the meeting. Apple, I'm available for consulting. We'll work something out.
This is why I try not to give each of my hard-earned dollars to one company. That's why I have a Samsung also. But more importantly, I sport cricket. Cricket. All I care about is cricket.
All I care about is cricket, too. Eating crickets at Safeco Field. Little lime chili pepper. Wrap that in a tortilla. Drop some sriracha on that. Those are my crickets. Jalen, you have a message for Lonzo Ball of the Ball family.
I do. A couple of things. Number one, never disrespect the legend. That's what Nasir Jones is.
We're not talking about athletics. We're not talking about entertainment.
Correct.
We're not talking about the education. Just don't disrespect legends.
There are more kids on this earth named Nas after what he's accomplished than are named Lonzo after what you've so far accomplished.
That's a good point.
I was watching NFL football the other day. Seattle has a defensive lineman. Picks up the ball, runs toward the end zone. He gets called back. His name is Nasir Jones.
I didn't know his name was Nasir. I assumed it was like Nassim or something else. I didn't know it was going to be exactly Nas's name.
So when I'm flipping through channels, Lonzo, and I see players named Raekwon and Jada, they're named after guys who spit bars.
Let's listen to Lonzo's song real quick. Reg, you got that? Are those bars? Are those bars? This sounds like something you record in your basement for your little brother's birthday.
That's what it was for.
That must be what it is. It's just like
16.
We'll play this once at the party. It'll be for your birthday. I'm not going to release this to the public right after I disrespected Nas.
There are kids out here named Nas.
So one thing I love about this Nasir Jones thing is that's next level. There's a lot of Jalen's in the world. But if Derrick Rose has a kid, names it Jalen, that's next level. That's next level.
There's more Joneses than Roses.
There's a lot of Joneses out there. A lot of opportunities. You got to keep up with the Joneses, Jalen. Baseball is a sport that we don't talk about too much, so we're going to give it some shine. The Indians have won 19 games in a row.
And the Dodgers have lost 11 straight.
That's what I was just about to say. It felt like this was a done deal. Remember Magic Johnson? He was already like, all right, where am I going to put the trophy? How are we going to do this? Oh, wait, when's the World Series? Let me make sure that my assistant has those dates in the calendar because I'm going to be traveling to all those games. And now, all of a sudden, the Dodgers can't win a game and the Indians cannot lose a game. Do you know who the Indians won their 19th in a row against?
I do. Don't remind me.
The Detroit Tigers. So if the Lions roar, what do the Tigers do?
Kittens purr.
Can you make a purr sound?
No, they don't. That doesn't have a noise.
Yeah, it does. Purring has a noise. It's called purr.
How does it sound? Let me hear you do it. Do that again.
I thought that was an excellent.
What about a hiss when a kitten gets upset?
I can't do that. There you go. There you go. Speaking of Magic Johnson. Magic Johnson, he's not like Ted Cruz on Twitter. He just goes right down the middle. He says how he feels. Yep. Sometimes points out the obvious. He's a fun follow, though. Yep. And He just shouted out ESPN for their great story on E60 about David and Derek Carr. He's just appreciating the content from the network.
Shout out.
And Derek Carr wrote back, "Bro, Magic knows our names." Didn't you like that?
I did. I felt the exact same way when I met him as just graduating from high school. There was a Pepsi challenge at my high school in which I took honors classes because I got accepted. And if you got a certain GPA, you got a chance to come to the auditorium and meet Magic. So though I graduated, I came back the following year so I can take that opportunity. Took a picture with him. Still have it to this day.
And he knows your name.
And realized he knew my name.
I think I've met him 8 to 10 times. Still unclear if he knows my name. Still unclear if he knows my name.
He signed my book.
But he'll give me a big pound.
My mother gave me a book.
Wait. Oh, I thought you meant your book. Like he signed your biography on
like
Jalen. That's not how it works, dude.
No, my mom gave me a book like 10 years ago, the Bird and Magic book written by Jackie McMullen.
Oh, okay.
And he wrote in the book, "Look to little Magic. When I see you, I see me."
Oh, that's nice. After 10 years and you were in the league, did he take it back?
Well, I'd already almost was done.
You're still not retired, though.
Yeah, I still got some more years.
You still got some years. You can come back
I got
to the
another
league.
year of collegiate eligibility.
Oh, you do?
I go to college.
Let's talk about
dominate.
that. Let's talk about that. We could put you on a college team. Yep. I don't know if the NCAA would allow that.
Why?
You've made money playing basketball before.
Oh, once you do that, you can't be a member of the NCAA?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Man, that's a secret society.
We have a simple motto on this program. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. We give the people what they want. Part of giving the people what they want is opening up our 1-800-FLOWERS Twitter feed and taking questions from you. First question that we have is almost an insult. I'm offended by this question. It's from Kate Chura. Hope I'm saying your name right.
Shout out.
This is what they said, Jalen. You believe they put this on Twitter and said to me, "Jacoby, we know you're a 2-car household. I don't believe the second one is also a minivan. What is the other car?"
Oh, man, I'm going to just sit back and let my brother cook. I'll take this segment off. Thank you.
I understand your logic. Whenever I have a disagreement, I like to put myself in the other person's shoes. You know? I say, okay, what were they thinking?
Or what could I have done differently?
What could I have done differently? What could I have done differently? Me? Nothing. Them, what they could have done differently is taking in the information. They could have. What do I always talk about on the program? My minivan.
You're the capo of the minivan.
Of course. Have I ever mentioned any other vehicles?
Never.
No. What do I talk about my commute to work all the time?
Bike.
I ride a bike. So he says, not are you a 2-car household? He says, I know. We know. Like we the people. Like I'm lying to everybody.
Wow.
Not just him
like
or
you
her.
lying to the people.
Yes.
Wow.
Like he said, we
That's
know
a major charge
you're
right
a
there.
2-car household.
That's like me saying I watched a fight and then fall asleep. We don't lie to the people.
I don't believe the second one is a minivan. What's the other car? The other car doesn't exist, The other car is a bicycle. We had a second car for a while. Guess what it did? Sat in the driveway. Because when you have a minivan and a secondary vehicle, which one are you going to pick when you have the keys? So that lease was up. That car is gone. I'm a minivan and a minivan-only household. I will only drive minivans for the rest of my life. Now that is a lie.
He's a die easy.
Moving on. This is from, I believe it's Mikhail Mukin. Sorry if I said your name wrong. Jacoby, if you were an NBA player, what number would you have on your jersey and why? Number 20. Because one of my best seasons growing up, I wore number 24, Brian Shaw, who was on the Celtics. I just stuck with it.
Doug Collins.
You know what I used to do? I used to just, because, look, you know, we were not all big future NBA players. You know what I mean?
Gary Payton the glove.
And we're not all like that. I'm sure you got you were the best player in your high school team. You got to choose whatever number, and you were at some, Southwest. They had a program there that you guys are going to win states, so they took this sort of stuff seriously. When you're just a regular dude, You know, they just give you a jersey, and then you reverse engineer why you got that number. Do you know why I had number 20? Extra large. That's why. Not because of Brian Shaw. Not because of Allen Houston. Not because of Gary Payton. Because it was extra large. And the jerseys were young, so I needed an extra large. Thank you for the question.
And they heard your name was Obi-Wan Jacoby, so they wanted to give you a whack number.
Don't ever disrespect Star Wars. Don't ever disrespect the Chaos Clique. Don't ever disrespect Obi-Wan Jacoby.
The Chaos Clique. We need to hear some of those bars.
I saw Steven Jackson today. He called me Obi-Wan. Do you know Scott Van Pelt called me Obi-Wan on Sports Center?
It's out there.
When I was Obi-Wan Jacoby, if you said on Sports Center, they're going to name check you as Obi-Wan Jacoby.
You got to run with it now.
What did I do? Did I get arrested?
You got to run with it now.
Did I kill an athlete? Like, what happened? Next question is from Easy the Prophet. This is for you, Jalen. Should I keep baking my chicken, or do I need to get a grill already?
Grill.
Here's the thing.
Back to the grill again.
It depends where you live. You live in New York City. You don't have an option to get a grill. No. You live in an apartment. A lot of people live in apartments. I think that's one of the best things about living in Los Angeles. You can grill.
I think if grill wasn't an option, they wouldn't have asked that to be the question.
I think that's fine. But I'm just saying, not everybody has the option to get a grill.
Not everybody has an option to get an oven.
Not everybody has an option to get chicken. You got to count your blessings. Oh, gosh. This is from Matthias. Matthias always hits us up. I live in Denmark, and baseball is an absolute minimum media-wise. What's the best thing about the sport? Okay, Matthias.
Giancarlo Stanton.
No, I would say the sport as a whole would be the mental battle between the pitcher and the batter. The sport within the sport. So even no matter what the score is, there is still a competition that is happening between the pitcher and the batter, and the catcher's involved as well. Like that, little micro sport within the sport that happens literally every single at bat is something that makes it always exciting to me. That's how I would answer that question. Poppy wants to know.
Shout out.
Who do you think will have the better season out of the Watt brothers?
TJ.
Ooh. Well, that's interesting. I would say JJ, but just follow my logic here. The other team is going to have a lead a lot on the Texans. JJ is not going to have that many opportunities to rush the quarterback as he had in the past.
You speaking my language.
So it's like,
so when I throw it out there, you sound crazy initially, right?
And another thing is they shouldn't be this way. It's the same way with like NBA players and points, but with pass rushers, how many sacks did he have? How many sacks did he have? You could chase somebody out of the pocket so someone else gets the sack. Doesn't matter. You can disrupt a running back and tackle him for a loss. Doesn't matter.
You could have been horrible on the play and still get a sack.
Exactly. He could just run into you. He could spin away from somebody else and just run into you. But I do believe that from what I've seen, and based on the way that their teams play, it could be TJ.
And he already got a head start. He got 2 sacks and a pick already.
And this question was a follow-up question from Poppy, which I found interesting. I don't even understand it fully. Will Do-Rag Jalen be at any football games?
I'm starting to feel like Do-Rag Jalen gave birth to Hoodie Mello.
It's one of those things.
Now I see that. I got to get the date on wax that someone on television actually called him that.
The date on wax, that Hoodie Mello?
Yes.
I think it was probably a month ago. No, it was when he did that. Remember that training video he put out when he was in the soccer field at night in New York? I know exactly where those soccer fields are.
That was during summer league.
Yeah, and he was just like he was taking a 10-yard sprint, and now I'm running backwards for 10 yards. It's like, Mello, if you're gonna put a picture of you working out on Instagram, just make it more interesting than that. That was really just for Lala. He was just showing Lala he was staying in shape. Next question that we have, double question again for Jalen. This one's from Sam.
Shout out.
Jalen, what's your favorite Jordan retro shoe?
Double barrel question. The red, white, and black original is classic.
The ones.
However, there's a pair that I played in. Hall of Fame game versus Georgia Tech.
So what year is this? I can reverse engineer, and I know Jordan's.
Second or third year.
So that's going to be 93?
Yeah.
So 93 is probably the 7s or 8s. Probably the 7s or the 8s. Neither of which are my favorite. But, you feel a certain way about it.
So I'll probably say one of those.
How many points did you have?
I did work. Had a nice bang in that game, too, off a high-low action. Turned around and just banged it easy.
Good for you.
And it wasn't the shoes.
It wasn't your hops either.
I know.
Ted.
Theodore.
Mr. Cruz.
Teddy.
Cruz.
Lion Ted.
Come on, Ted. Ted Cruz. Not a friend of the program.
No.
Jalen rose one time to send a nice positive tweet just supporting peaceful protest, just supporting people expressing their American rights. Ted Cruz had the nerve to fire back at you on Twitter 13 hours later with not one but two responses. Twitter fingers, Ted.
No doubt.
And last night at 1 in the morning, probably after he was done watching Jalen and Jacoby, because that's when we come on, someone liked some porn from his Twitter account. Ted.
Lion Ted.
He described it on a staffing problem. Because when he's got multiple people that have his passwords, it must have been somebody else. It must have been somebody else, right? Because when you work for Ted Cruz, you're always just looking at Twitter at 1 in the morning with his account locked in.
And how about this? Him tweeting our program was a year ago today.
And
can't make this up.
And I never thought that him tweeting what he tweeted at you was going to be the second worst thing that he's done on Twitter for his career.
Well,
but apparently that's what happened.
The timeline makes sense. I sent my tweet
a year ago
at 8 p.m.
on the 11th.
And he sent his at 8 a.m.
So that means he was just cooking up his responses for like 14 hours. We know what he was doing now for those 14 hours.
There you go.
Now we know what he was doing for those 14 hours. He's like, I'll get back to you. I'll get back to you, Jalen Rose. Let me just work on something else for the time being.
But I must say this, though.
We're going to get fired.
On my phone.
We're definitely going to get fired.
Where the like button is also where you go to the previous screen.
Oh, every time we talk about these things, I check my likes first. Every time we talk about someone accidentally liking something, I check my likes first on Twitter.
So I do, to keep it 100, see how that can happen.
Totally understand how this can happen. Totally understand how this can happen. But that being said, Ted.
Theodore.
Teddy. Come on now.
Theatric.
Question. ESPN came out with their NBA ranking thing where they rank all the players. It's mainly just sort of some fodder for the offseason to get people like us talking about it and this, and that. They ranked Lonzo Ball ahead of Carmelo Anthony. Is that a failed test? Did ESPN just fail a test?
ESPN
Did ESPN as a whole just fail a drug test?
And the great thing about it, I didn't participate in that poll.
Of course not.
So that don't go down as a failed test for me.
Of course not. You have nothing to do with that. But Carmelo Anthony, hoodie, no hoodie, Knicks, Blazers, Rockets, wherever. You could put Lonzo Ball ahead of him. He had a decent summer league. He was the second best player on the summer league team. Kuz was probably better.
Carmelo did lead an NBA team last year in multiple statistical categories.
And led him right to the lottery the last 4 or 5 years.
He will be in the Hall of Fame one day. The same one that LeBron and Wade are going into.
Of course.
This season, however, is why they elected to rank Lonzo ahead of him by thinking that he's going to have a better season. I don't agree with that.
No chance. No, I don't. If you go into NBA GMs and said just for this season, this one season, not for careers, and you could have Carmelo Anthony or Lonzo Ball on your team, out of the 30 NBA GMs, how many would pick to have Lonzo Ball for 1 year?
The Lakers, one, because he's their guy. So this is how that works.
Even Rob Pelinka would be like, wait,
sideline out of bounds play. 5 seconds to go in the game. Who are you giving the ball to? Lonzo or Melo?
No, you give it to Lonzo,
all of the people
to pass
who did this.
To Melo,
you ran out of
to
time.
make the shot. Speaking of running out of time,
you're out of touch. I'm out of time.
Thank you so much for listening on ESPN Radio, for watching on ESPN2 and ESPN News, and subscribing to the Jalen and Jacoby podcast.
Did you watch football this past Sunday? There was a guy named Nasir
what were you doing
Jones
in the morning?
that scored a touchdown, but it got called back.